This is a summary recording of the second half of the fourth session of Twilight's Dawn. Spiders, ogres, and bears. Oh my. So, unfortunately, the video from last session cut off right after the thieves' camp, so I'm going to try to give you, as a viewer, a bit of a summary, so that if you watch the videos and you go from 4 to 5, you're not completely and utterly confused. Because at this point, it looks like that at the end of the last video, it looks like that they're about to help them, and if you start the next video, you're likely to see that they're about to fight them, and you're like, how did that happen? Well, it's a little bit more of an involved story. So, after Ravonna reveals that she came from the Expanse, the elf convinces the orc and the other two to allow her to go after, the whole party to go after their two companions, who walked off to get water and had not returned for several hours. So the party was granted passage past the camp, and they moved down the hall, cavern hall, for a bit, and then they encountered an ogre. Loyal was able to do circles around this ogre because the ogre got a perception check of -1, which means that it probably wasn't even aware of its own existence, much less that of the party. So, the ogre was chowing down on some sort of rodent or rat or whatever, and so Loyal goes back to the party and reports that. So the party has a discussion about whether they want to kill the ogre or try to go around it. And so the decision is made to actually have Ravonna go up and speak to the ogre, because she, as a furball, has the ability to speak giant. And so Ravonna goes up to the ogre and engages the ogre in a conversation, asking about the two guys that came through not too long ago. Unfortunately, the ogre has no interest in the two walking flesh creatures, as he calls them, and wants food. So Ravonna quickly pulls out rations, gives him a lot of her rations, to be exact, and he eats them up, and after a bit, he kind of reveals that they went further down the pathway, and he was not apparently interested in eating them. The ogre then asks for more food. Ravonna gives him more food, and by this time the party has managed to skirt around the ogre and thus avoids an encounter which wouldn't have been too difficult, but would have obviously caused them more difficulty, as they had already experienced a decent encounter before in the episode. So they make it around the ogre, and eventually they come to a small cavern. And the cavern has some sort of translucent spider webbing all over the place. It is clear pretty quickly after Screw pokes it with the stick that this is the web, or the web of one or more really large spiders. And there's a path cut through the web a little bit that isn't a full path, but it has allowed enough space for some creature to go through. And there are two sets of footprints. So the party, after checking things out, kind of proceeds through that webbing into the lair of the, unknowns to them, into the lair of the spider Jabba Fofi. Okay? So as they go inside, they do various perception checks and things of that nature. And eventually they see, Loyal sees this huge swarm of spiders moving along the floor. And he's immediately taken back. And while the party is looking in that direction, Jabba Fofi, who is this specially made spider from the Tome of Beast, from Kobold Press, comes down from the ceiling and lands next to Ravonna. Ravonna, by the way, has become a spider herself in this time to be able to, through wild shape, to be able to navigate the terrain more easily. Loyal is also able to navigate the terrain fairly easy. And I don't think I made the party follow the difficult terrain rule. Unfortunately, I thought about that after the session, but I don't think I did. So even though there's webbing everywhere, they didn't follow that rule. And so Ravonna was face to face with this Jabba Fofi, and it got the better of her. Like the spider ripped her spider form apart. They had a brief reprieve when Shane used his Isomar, or his blood, I think it's his Blood Hunter ability. When Shane used his Blood Hunter Isomar ability to frighten the spider for a little bit. The spider was imposed disadvantage in its attacks against Ravonna for a short time. That worked for a little bit, but then it only worked for a round, and then the spider was back. And Spider really bit into Ravonna, but Ravonna's beast shaping allowed her to take most of the hit. So Loyal is being attacked by a swarm. Screw's trying to help him get that swarm off. Another swarm appears and attacks Shane, and for a little bit, it looks as if the party is in big trouble. But then Ravonna gets a really good idea. An idea that I kind of hated her for after the session. Okay, so she decides to transform into a bear. Of course, she gets all of her hit points back. That's the whole nature of wild shape. So she transforms into a bear. And in confrontation with this spider, Jabba Fofi, she actually decides to use one of her attacks, to knock Jabba Fofi off of the rock, which is 10 feet up. So she manages to act, and Jabba Fofi, by the way, strength is pretty high. His strength, I think his strength save was a +5. So to knock Jabba Fofi off, Jabba Fofi would have had to have rolled really badly. So the first attack came through, did nothing, didn't even hit Jabba Fofi, but the second attack, Jabba Fofi failed his strength save by this much, and the attack knocked Jabba Fofi off of the cliff, nearly crushing Shane below, who managed to get out of the way. And then was what the really creative part happened. And while I hated her for it hated Ravonna for it during the session, I still respect it as a DM because it was a really cool move. She jumped off of the top rock 10 feet up onto Jabba Fofi. So you're seeing this bear jump off the rock, lands on Jabba Fofi, causing Jabba Fofi 30 points, but it was quite a bit of damage. So that helped knock Jabba Fofi, whose AC, by the way, was 18. Most of the blows that the party were trying to inflict on it were not hitting. In fact, Nino, Loyal's pet chimp, was the one actually making more damage, most of the damage the entire session, hitting Jabba Fofi even a couple of times with well-placed rocks. The chimp was doing the most damage. So Ravonna jumps off in bear form, falls on the spider, doesn't quite flatten him, but severely hurts him. Loyal and James shrug off the first swarm. Shane shrugs off the second form, and then they're all able to finally focus on taking down Jabba Fofi. And after about another round or two, the mighty spider does fall. So that was a pretty intuitive combat. They used the surroundings around them to kind of beat an almost unwinnable situation. Make it almost an unwinnable. Make an unwinnable situation manageable. So I was impressed at that. There were some close calls, some scares. Jabba Fofi was not anything to sneeze at. And though the Kobold the Tome of Beast rated it as a CR rating of 3, I don't think that's very accurate. Our whole party was a CR level 3, and they had some trouble, but they were able to make it. So afterwards, they were able to comb the lair, and they were able to find the 2 dead bodies recently wrapped of the individuals who ran away from the thieves' camp. They were able to scrounge about a good bit of gold, and they were able to find an ornate staff, which Ravonna took for herself. It was not magic. And they were able to find a Ravenstone. And in this setting, a Ravenstone is capable of sending messages and packages that are below 5 pounds from one Ravenstone to the other. The only thing is you have to know the other person's spell word to be able to send to the Ravenstone, and the other person who wants to send you something has to know your spell word. So the party gets this Ravenstone, but they do not yet have the spell word, or the spell phrase rather, excuse me, to use it. So at this point, it's a useful item if you can find out the spell phrase. They also find a bottle of wine. So after that encounter, they grab the bodies, and they take the 2 bodies back to the camp. And at first, it seems like there's going to be a bit of trust built, and the interactions go pretty well. They're really thankful. Ravonna fills up their water jugs because 2 had gone off to find water in the cave, and Ravonna fills up their water jugs, gives them the bottle of wine. It seems to be really smoothed over, so you're thinking to yourself, how in the world did they get into combat? Well, something they asked about the nature of what the group's doing in the cave, and the group was evasive. They did not tell them the truth. Thus, that got some people's things going. Loyal tries to shoo the party onward. He doesn't want another confrontation. Ravonna doesn't really either. But Shane's an Izamar who's a blood hunter, who's really inclined towards justice and rightness, and he doesn't leave it alone. And so he presses, and finally Loyal gets the party to walk away, but as he's doing that, Shane hears the words, well, they might be trouble, we might not want to do something about them. And in result comes back and says, what do you want to do about us? And then so forth, finally causing the group in the camp to become hostile, and a battle will ensue next session. So that's what you missed, and it was a whole lot more glorious than the retelling that I gave. But that's what you missed in the other less than 2 hours, probably an hour and 45 minutes. That was not on the last podcast. So we'll be out for 2 weeks, so we won't be around next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that, there'll be another video posted as they continue their trek through the Endless Caves. This is your DM, Will, speaking, and on behalf of all of our players here at Twilight's Dawn, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you back in 2 weeks.